In this video, you will learn about the woodroom, the equipment available, and safety precautions for using it. Proper training is very important for operating the equipment in the woodroom. If you do not know how to use equipment properly, don't use it. Use Slack to request training. Eye and hearing protection are mandatory in this room. A respirator or disposable dust mask is also strongly recommended, as wood dust is a recognized carcinogen. Never wear gloves to operate equipment in the woodroom. To avoid tripping and fire hazards, no wood may be stored in either the woodroom or the CNC woodroom. Do not store loose tools or pieces of material on equipment that is being used. Turn on the exhaust fan every time before using the room. Listen for the fan in the background when you go in. Training for the dust interlock system is required to use the equipment in this room. Always check the bag before turning on the dust collector. Empty it if dust is halfway up the window or more. Never operate a machine without the dust collection unit connected and operating. Inspect your wood for bits of metal, including staples, bullets, or nails before using it. Running a magnet over your rough wood to check for metal is recommended. The SawStop table saw can be used to accurately cut large pieces of material. If your material is very green or wet, let it dry out before cutting to avoid setting off the braking mechanism while cutting. Wear a kickback apron and stand to the side of the material while using the table saw to avoid injury from kickback. Kickback can happen on other equipment as well. Always use blades and bits that are sharp to decrease the risk of injury. Never put your finger in a knothole to machine a piece. If kickback occurs, you don't want your finger to get caught in the wood. The Laguna bandsaw is used for many of the same purposes as the table saw, in addition to being useful for round cuts. It can also cut much thicker pieces of wood than the table saw. The DeWalt sliding compound miter saw is useful for quick rough cuts and for cutting at different angles. Both the table and the saw can be tilted to cut at an angle or create a compound bevel. The jointer is used to square or smooth a rough piece of wood. The routing table uses router bits to shape wood. For example, you can create the patterns in a cupboard door or round corners. Always push your material against the spin of the router to avoid kickback. The PowerFist sandblaster uses pressurized abrasive materials such as sand, walnut pieces, or glass to smooth or add texture to the surface of a piece. It is useful for polishing materials and creating textured designs using a template. The General International drill press is used to drill straight holes to precise depths. Always make sure your piece is properly clamped before drilling. Do not drill without the sacrificial board in place. The panel saw is used for cutting very large sheets of wood into more manageable sections. Use the tape at the bottom of the saw as a guide for the location of your cut. The belt sander is used to sand particularly rough pieces or to round corners. Keep a firm grip on your piece and your fingers clear of the belt or disc during operation. Never leave a tool running unattended and avoid distractions. Always turn off equipment before leaving or talking to someone. Do not distract people who are operating equipment. It is essential to clean up any dust created by your project. Clean your workspace plus 1 square meter around it when you are done for the day. Make sure not to suck any metal or large wood fragments into the vacuum. When you are finished in this room, be sure to turn off the dust collectors and exhaust system if you are the last one out. Finally, when planning your projects, keep in mind that polymerizing oils are not permitted in the shop. Polymerizing oils generate heat as they dry and can easily start a fire. Should you need them, a first aid kit is available just outside the entrance, and there is an eye wash station and fire extinguisher outside the CNC room. In this video, you learned about the woodroom, the equipment found there, and safety precautions for using the equipment.